towards the end of David's life, he was able to see his son, King Solomon, sit on his throne. But before that, Adonijah, one of his oldest sons, was exalting himself as the next king of Israel. And so David thwarted all that by having Solomon ride on his donkey and having him installed as king. David gave him instruction in 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 5. He says, "Moreover, you know also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the two commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner, the son of Ner, and Amasa, the son of Jether, whom he killed. And he shed the blood of war in peacetime, and put the blood of war on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were on his feet. Therefore do according to your wisdom, and do not let his gray hair go down to the grave in peace." Joab had murdered these two men because they were in competition with him as far as leading the army. He didn't want that competition, and he wickedly, by deception, killed these two men who were more righteous than him. Now, David did not execute judgment on Joab, but it came later during the time of King Solomon. Joab had also defected to Adonijah instead of Solomon. He had exalted Adonijah as the next king instead of with Solomon, whom David had chosen. And so he was really involved in a conspiracy towards the end of King David's life. In 1 Kings chapter 2, in verse 28, it says, "The news came to Joab, for Joab had defected to Adonijah, though he had not defected to Absalom. So Joab fled to the tabernacle of Yahweh and took hold of the horns of the altar." And King Solomon was told, "Joab has fled to the tabernacle of Yahweh. There he is by the altar." Then Solomon sent Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, saying, "Go, strike him down." So Benaiah went to the tabernacle of Yahweh and said to him, "Thus says the king, come out." And he said, "No, but I will die here." And Benaiah brought back word to the king, saying, "Thus said Joab, and thus he answered me." Then the king said to him, "Do as he has said, and strike him down, and bury him, that you may take away from me and from the house of my father the innocent blood which Joab shed." And so Yahweh will return his blood on his head, because he struck down two men more righteous and better than he, and killed them with the sword. Abner, the son of Ner, the commander of the army of Israel, and Amasa, the son of Jether, the commander of the army of Judah. Though my father David did not know it. Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Joab and upon the head of his descendants forever. But upon David and his descendants, upon his house and his throne, there shall be peace forever from Yahweh. So Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went up and struck and killed him, and he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. Joab had killed these men during the reign of King David, and he was not punished during the reign of King David. But that blood was still crying out for justice. That blood was still upon his hands, and justice had to be rendered. And King Solomon was the one to do it. And so here Joab, he fled to the altar and hung on to the horns of the altar. He might have felt, well, I'm safe here as long as I hang on to the altar. In fact, Benaiah, who was sent to kill him, thought that that was going to be a hindrance. But King Solomon said, well, kill him there. That's what he wants. And so he was killed and buried. So even though it might seem like a person is going to get away with blood guilt, God's not going to forget that. He's not going to forget that bloodshed. You killed innocent people. That blood is around your belt. It's on your clothes. It's on your sandals. It's on your feet. God will one day bring judgment through the greatest Solomon, Jesus Christ. They will cry, Lord, Lord, in that day when they see that sign come in the heavens. And they'll say, didn't we do this in your name and do that in your name? We stopped all this same-sexing. We stopped abortions and this and that. They're going to like grab to that altar like Joab. And Jesus is going to say, I never knew you. Get away from me. He's going to say, kill them where they stand. Judgment will come for all this blood guilt. So that's why the Bible tells us to get away from all these false religions. Get away from this white supremacy churches and all these wicked churches, because they hate. And hatred of your brother, the Bible says, is murder. That murder is around their belt, on their feet, on their sandals. They will pay for that murder at Armageddon. But for those who show mercy, mercy will be shown them.